Sahaja means spontaneous. Saha means this. Ja means born. It is born. It is spontaneous. It is a living force. The living force that has made you a human being from amoeba is going to make you the higher being where you become the self. It is all, in every scripture you'll find, they have described that you are to be born again. Every prophet, every incarnation has said that you are to be born again. And there must be something within us which does that job. And this is known as Kundalini and was known to people, very few people I should say, in the ancient times. Then in the 6th century, Adi Shankaracharya talked about it very clearly. That it's only the Kundalini awakening, the awakening of this residual power within us, which lies in the triangular bone called as sacrum, insected bone. Just imagine, that time they knew it was a sacred bone. That it rises and crosses all the subtle centers, pierces through the fontanelle bone area and gives you your real baptism, your real birth. And you can also feel the softness of your fontanelle bone area on top of your head. And this is an actualization. This is not that you can just pay some money or become a member, organize something. It's an actualization. And you can see the pulsation of the Kundalini at the base, the rising of the Kundalini, and the breaking of the fontanelle bone area, which is called in Sanskrit as Brahmarandha.
So you're saying there's this, spirit inside us that you call Kundalini?
Yes, no, spirit, this is the Holy Ghost. And the spirit is in the heart. Spirit is the reflection of God within us.
So it's not a spirit, it's a life force?
This is the force that is the pure desire to be one with God. That is within us, all the time dormantly lying. It only manifests when it sees or gets instruction or is handled by a person who is authorized by God, not by any institutions or anything, but by God. Such a person himself is a realization. It is like one enlightened light can enlighten another light. Very simple.
So that what you're trying to tell us is that we have within us a life force called...
A germinating force, you can say.
Right, called Kundalini.
Yes.
And this is generated in the...
It awakens, actually.
Awakens.
It moves like an energy.
In the bone, around the eye?
No. Sacrum is the bone at the base of the spinal cord.
Oh, the sacrum, right.
The triangular bone.
Right. At the base of the spine. And that is where this force awakens.
Yes. And it rises. You see the pulsation rising. And it comes up to the top of the head, which is called as the fontanelle bone area in the medical terms. But here is called as talu in Sanskrit language. And it pierces through. You can see the pulsation coming up here. And after some time, the pulsation stops.
This is when you're meditating. You can see this in somebody who is meditating?
It's like, you see, for this, you have to just place your hand towards me to begin with. Then any other yogi can also do it. But to begin with, you have to place the hands towards me just like this. Like namaz. You see, as they do namaz.
That's palms open.
Just palms towards me.
Yes.
And you find that through your fingers, when it pierces through, you start feeling a cool breeze blowing in. And that's the sign that you have got that power blowing through. But with that, you get many other manifestations. Like, first of all, you feel absolutely relaxed. Secondly, you feel the cool breeze also coming out of the head, fontanelle bone area. First the heat comes out, and then the cool breeze comes.
Right. What is happening when that happens? What is happening to the body? Is one relaxing? Is one becoming more holy? What is happening when this? You
are evolving. You evolve to a higher state of consciousness. Your consciousness, as it is a human consciousness or human awareness. Now, but your spirit is by itself. It is enjoying by itself. It is not in your conscious mind. Means you do not feel it in your central nervous system, its manifestation. It is by itself. Now when Kundalini rises, she takes your attention inside because a happening takes place. And this attention gets enlightened by the spirit, which is actually placed in the heart, but the seat is in the tali, in the fontanelle bone area, on top of that. So once you touch that, your attention becomes enlightened. And the attention itself becomes collectively conscious. It's a becoming. It's not just saying that they are all brothers and sisters. It just happens. You start feeling them on your fingertips, all the centers. Your own and that of other souls.
So it's a method of coming to terms with forces within our own body, is to put it bluntly.
Yes, of course.
Right.
That's why it is Saha. Means born with you.
Right.
Saha, ja, born with you. Yoga means union with God. So this right to be born again, to be united with God, is within you. But it has to work out spontaneously.
How is this different from practicing the sort of yoga that we've seen over the years? This form of yoga that we have on television in the morning, in women's magazines, the classes that people go to, which I suppose are relaxation exercises, really. How does your Sahaja yoga differ from that?
It's very different because, you see, in this the accent is only on physical side of life. You are not only your physical being, neither your emotional being, nor only your religion, what you call your sustainer. You are much more than that. And unless and until you see all these three aspects properly in balanced way, it can be very dangerous. Moreover, the Hatha Yoga that is done these days perhaps has no relation with what real Patanjali Yoga is. Because Patanjali Yoga was practiced at the time when we had another type of system in our society, where the children of 5 years used to go to the Guru, stay with him. And there the Guru used to select people who were good for realization. Then first thing they would do is Ishvara Prandhan, means establishment of God within, means realization. There are 8 simultaneous things, Ashtangas. It's not only one physical exercise. And physical exercise is only 1/10 of one of them. But the first and foremost thing is the establishment of God. In Sahaja, first your God must be established. Then you see the movement of the Kundalini, and you see the obstructions of the different centers, and you know which center is to be activated. If there's a physical problem, then what exercise to be done. But today's modern yoga is such that you take all the medicines in one shot, all of them, whether they are required or not. You don't know what you're doing to yourself. This is absolutely absurd. And this can relax you because maybe that somebody else takes over from you. Maybe you get possessed or maybe something like that you feel relaxed. But you are not in control of your relaxation. You are not in control of yourself at all. You have to become absolutely the master of your body, mind, everything.
Mataji, you've come to Australia to speak to people and to your followers, and you do have followers. Why do you have followers? Who are these people who deify you and who call you mother?
I mean, it is like the sun shining and the leaves are bathing in it. Now the time has come to flowers to become fruits. Now what can we do? If the relationship exists, because what they want I have, and I give them that.
It's more than...
But it is not binding there. I mean, I do not try to sort of dominate them in any way. But I see to it that they grow into good citizens and grow into proper personality with their spirit completely manifesting in them.
Are you then a teacher?
Yes, of course I have to teach them as a mother. So many things mother has to teach the children. But it's a sweet way of doing it. How you do it is the point. I mean, a mother doesn't take any money for what she teaches. And it's a question of love. And divine love is so remarkable that it just manifests itself.
You don't take money from your followers?
No. How can you pay for God's love? Can you? That's what one should know when they have this market on and all these people are coming in. You must know one thing that you cannot pay for. This is one of the things people must realize. You don't use their brain.
There are many cults where people give a lot of money to the gurus. Yes, and there are gurus. There's one, I can think of a number, but there's one that is known for riding around in Rolls Royces and so on and living a very high life. And as a matter of fact, a friend of mine is a follower of him.
Just a minute.
And he has changed very much. I mean, he's a very holy person, I suppose. He's certainly at peace. He's a very happy man now since he's become a follower of this particular guru. And I've never been able to see why. He's never been able to explain to me why. And I wonder what you think of, in general, of these cult movements.
You see, what these people do is that main aim is to make some money. But there can be even more sinister people. They may be wanting to stop your evolution. They are satanic. Some of them are very satanic forces. Because they give epilepsy and they give horrible diseases. They make people reclusive. They just mesmerize them. People start thinking, oh, they have become very holy and they have become very good. But the first thing we should know, as Jung has put it, who was a disciple of Freud, and I'm happy he's very popular in your country, that the next step has to be that you become collectively conscious. By becoming higher personality, you start feeling the centers of other people and yours also. This was to be expected, that you become collectively conscious. This is the point one should see. For example, somebody says, I'm very happy. So what does it matter? I mean, if he feels that he's happy, it is only his ego is pampered. If you pamper somebody's ego, the person feels very happy. And if you condition somebody or give him a super ego, he feels unhappy. Both happiness and unhappiness are the two sides of one coin. But joy isn't. Joy is a drama. Joy is a beauty. And that only you can get it if your attention gets enlightened by your spirit. Because spirit is the only source of joy, which doesn't have duality. It just watches. This is a witness. And these people just play upon your ego. Or they play upon your superego. They can mesmerize you. They have all these methods.
They're very popular with young people.
Yes. Poor young people. They are real seekers, I tell you. They are actually saints born because the last judgment has started. And the judgment is going to take place through the Kundalini awakening only. How anybody is going to judge anyone? I mean, God, how is he going to judge? It's only by awakening your Kundalini. And that's what has started. So many saints have taken birth to be in the kingdom of God, as was promised. And that's why these markets are afloat. You see, when there's a demand, there's a market also for that. And people are in the market. And naturally in the market, money is the main thing to begin with. But it's very, very dangerous. These people are so mesmerized. They don't want to see. It's not your happiness that is important. It's the happiness of the whole. What are you doing for that?
Well, I think they're certainly interested in getting new members for their cult. They certainly go around and try to sell their cult on the streets or wherever.
Yes, they are. For example, there was a guru who was to come to England and he said, I'll have a Rolls Royce, otherwise I'll not come to England. So these young people starved themselves, ate potatoes and all that, and they wanted to have the fellow there. And when some of the Sahajogis went and talked to them, why should you give him a Rolls Royce? He said, by giving Rolls Royce, what we are just in metal, but he gives us spirit. How can you exchange spirit for metal? I can't understand that.
Are you holy?
This you better find out yourself. What's the sign of holiness is? Holiness is that it cleanses us automatically. Christ was touched by a lady and an energy flew into her and she got cured, absolutely. This is what it is. You see, what do you ask the sun? Will you ask the sun, are you the light? I mean, what it does, it is the part and parcel of that.
Your followers see you as holy.
Yes, they must have found it out. Because if holiness means cleansing, it means energy giving, then course it has worked with that.
I'd like to talk to you about the energy giving. We'll talk about that in a moment, because you mentioned before holding out your palms and someone would hold out their hands to you. You talked about holding one's hands out to you. So in just a moment we'll take a break and then I'll come back and talk to you about that. You're listening to The Forum. It's 9:22. This is Ian Parry-Oakton and I'm talking to Mataji Nirmala Devi. And she is a guru? No? I'm sorry.
I'm a divine mother. Mataji means divine mother. That's not my name. My name is Nirmala. Nirmala means holy, pure or immaculate. They have given me this title as Mataji, which means holy mother.
Are you a yogi?
Yes, of course. I mean, yogi in the sense that if you are one with his spirit, that I am.
All right. It's 9:23. If you'd like to join us and you'd like to talk to Mataji, our number is 929-5555. There have been so many people passing through this country talking about offering all sorts of answers to today's problems in what is basically, I suppose, Christian culture, although we can talk about that too tonight. People who come from various religious movements based generally in India. And tonight we have one of those people on the program who says she's
Dad,
different.
you probably got a...
How she's different. If you'd like to join us, 929-5555. 929-5555. My guest tonight is Mataji Nirmala Devi, or Devi? Is that right? No. Mataji, we talked about energy and that you have an energy to give other people. How does it happen that you are the person who has that energy? Why you?
I mean, as you are the one who is asking me questions from the radio, in the same way, perhaps I'm appointed to do this job. See, that's all. If anybody can do it, I'll be very happy. As I told you, I'm a married lady, and my husband is very highly placed in life, and I actually miss him, and he misses me too, and my children are there. I've got grandchildren, but this is something else that he thinks is very important, and that's why I'm doing it. And if somebody else can do it, I'll be very happy to retire. I'll be really happy, I tell you. But some things you can do, and some things I can do. That's what it is.
Is it a gift from God?
Yes, of course. It is, and you can have the same gift, because you have to just get your realization, that's all. You can also do the same thing.
Do I have to be in contact with you?
You have to be not necessarily. People who are realized now in Sydney, only 2 persons came to India. They have given realization to 300 people. So it is not necessary for you to be in contact with me. But you have to get your realization through somebody who is an enlightened person and who knows how to have the Kundalini.
Now the energy is the Kundalini. This is what you offer to other people is to put them in touch with their own Kundalini.
That goes faster when I'm there. But even these people can do it. That's true.
So what's the power of this as far as healing is concerned? I believe you are, or claim to be able to heal people.
That happens spontaneously. I mean, I do not heal people as such, but it happens because when the Kundalini rises, she enlightens your parasympathetic nervous system. And the parasympathetic nervous system is like the storehouse of energy. But when it crosses the continental bone area, it gets connected to the mains. It's like supposing your petrol is finishing and you get connected to the mains and all the time the petrol is flowing into you. Then you get cured because all that energy which is being spent by sympathetic activity is replaced, and that's how people get all right. But I do not go about healing people, or I do not have a healing center, I do not go into hospitals. But those who are seekers get a spontaneous healing. Even blood cancer of any kind can be cured. But they have to be seekers to begin with. And their Kundalini must rise. And then they get their realization as a byproduct. They get healed. That's the different thing from healing people and just paying more attention to the body. Because if you have to have the temple of God to be enlightened by His presence, then your temple has to be cleansed.
Let's talk about God for a moment, or your concept of God. You were raised as a Christian, were you not? Or you were born as a Christian?
I was to be born something. Either I was to be born Christian, Hindu, Muslim, anywhere I could have been born. But I chose a father and a mother. And the father was an enlightened soul and a great man. It was he who told me about human beings, how they are. I didn't know they were that complicated.
Mm. Where did you learn about Kundalini and the various techniques that you now teach?
I didn't learn anything at all because I knew all this from my very childhood. This is innately built within you, the whole knowledge. Like as you are born as a human being, you can see it is bad smell, isn't it? You don't, nobody has to tell you it is bad smell. But a horse doesn't feel the bad smell. In the same way you are born at a higher stage, you see many more things and you know many more things. I knew that I was like that from my childhood. As you know that you are a human being as soon as you are born.
Did the people around you recognize this in you very, very early in your life?
I mean, some people like my father did recognize not only that, but he knew the purpose of my life and all that. But some people, I mean, there were different reactions, I should say, according to their understanding. But all of them knew that there's something unique about me.
Does your belief now, how does that connect to Christianity? If you were raised in a Christian family, have you risen beyond the Christian religion as such, or risen beyond all religions?
And beyond all the religions, I should say, and you also rise above it, because the religion that we know of now are, once upon a time, were real flowers on the living tree of life. But they plucked it. They said, this is mine, this is mine. And they took it away. And these flowers have become now ugly and dead. They are not living anymore. So all these religions are just giving you a lip service. They are not giving you actualization. Actually, the attention from the spirit is gone.
Do you believe that Jesus Christ was holy?
Of course, he was not only, but he was holiness. Completely that. He was the Pranava, he was the Omkara. He was the divine power himself when he came on the earth. And through him only we give realization, because he settled in a center here, which is the door. Door to the limbic area, which is
in the center of the center of the forehead.
The fun?
The center of the forehead.
No, it is not. It is shown here at the center, but it is between the pituitary and the pineal body on the optic chiasma. There is a very subtle center of Christ, which is the door, and through which the Kundalini has to pass. If the Kundalini stops there, invariably in a Christian it does, because Christians are not following Christ; they are following the church. They should follow the Christ. As Christ has said, I'll be calling you Christ, Christ. You'll be calling me Christ, Christ, and I won't recognize. This is what exactly happens, that they do not recognize Christ. Christ has said the first and foremost thing a Christian has to do is to get rebirth. Your spirit has to come in your awareness. This is what he said. And that attention is not there. We are organizing churches, we are organizing this, we are doing all other things. Living work is to be done. This is the living work. And this is what it is. This is real true Christianity and true Islam and true everything. Because that is what they taught us. To be one with the spirit. That's the main thing we are avoiding.
Can you describe what you believe is the purpose of us all being here? These days people seem to be searching more, seem to be more and more confused. I'm sure there are many people who don't feel they are, but there are an awful lot of people who do seem to be lost, do seem to be searching for some truth, some reason for being here. Can you explain what you believe is our reason for being on Earth?
You see, they are seekers. Why? Because they have not found their own meaning. We have not found our meaning. We do not know. Even the science cannot explain why we have become human beings, why the nature has taken so much trouble to discard so many animals and things and to make us as human beings. What is the purpose? They are trying to find out their purpose. Why are they here on this earth? And they are here for only one purpose, is to become one with the spirit, so that they understand and enjoy the beauty of God's kingdom.
We were created by God?
Yes, of course. Who else could have created such a wonderful thing like a human being?
Do you see the God being the same God that Christians worship and Muslims worship? It's all the same
not
God?
the Christians, I would say, but what Bible has described is the same. So there's a difference between what the Christians believe, because they have put interpretation sometimes. You see.
Well, the Bible describes, for instance, in the First Testament, the very revengeful God in many ways, a very angry God at times. Those sort of stories. I'm wondering how your view of God fits into the Bible's description of God. Is it identical?
It is very much so, but you see, Bible was written at various places by various people, and it was synchronized also. Christ's life was only for 4 years there, and people didn't allow him to talk much. They killed him, crucified him, and he had these disciples who were just fishermen. How could he talk to them about parasympathetic and sympathetic and all those things? And they also did not believe him till he got resurrection. It was a big problem at that time. And that's why the whole thing becomes very narrow, though very deep. So to understand Christianity, you must get your realization. Then you can go deep into it and see what he wanted to convey to us. There are many things we cannot explain, like I will appear before you like tongues of flame. Those who are not against me are with me. Who are those people he's talking about? So all these things can be only explained once you get realization. Now the concept of God is, the way people interpret is very funny, as if they think he's a rock of Gibraltar. One God means that he doesn't have eyes, knows everything. But he has aspects. God has many aspects. And the aspect that is the witness aspect of the God Almighty has another aspect, which is his power. And this power incarnates, and this power has 3 other powers by which she creates, she desires, and she wants. These 3 powers are there. And that's how there are many aspects of God, out of which the God's aspect that they know of is the God who is just a spectator. He is the spectator, and his power is the one that creates. He is the only spectator. Now, when he doesn't like spectacle, when the people or the whatever is created is no good, he takes out his attention, and that's how it is destroyed and finished. So he has to be punishing God also. Otherwise, human beings in their freedom do not know how far to go. They even challenge God. They do not believe in him. And then they have to learn it. Cancer is one of the things that's a punishment of God, I think, because we are too much preoccupied with our own problems and with our own understanding of life, and we project ourselves too much into extremes. We go beyond human sustenance and we develop these diseases. And then a balance is needed. It's more surprising, even in nature you can see. When you work very hard, you get a heart attack. When you work very hard with your brain, you get a heart attack. And when you work very hard with your heart, when you are, say, get very emotional and weep and cry, you get a brain damage. It's something so interesting. How the balance is even created by nature, it shows. In the same way, God also punishes us when we do not look after our sustenance, our human being as he requires the different qualities to be maintained within us. Like the gold has a quality that is untarnishable. In the same way, human beings have these 10 qualities described in the 10 commandments. And we just say, what's wrong? You see, this is all ego-oriented society. They say, what's wrong? What is wrong in it? Why should we condition ourselves? But we forget that if we do not look after this right, our ego develops. And it becomes like a big balloon. You start seeing it as if it is coming out like a horn. Then get you frightened. Then you take to drugs and alcohol. You want to run away and escape. You can't bear your ego. You just see the colossal stuff coming on you. So all these problems come because we do not understand that we have to keep a temperate balance. We have to be in moderation. We have to be in the center and not to go to extremes.
Mataji, you mentioned a number of things that I wanted to question you about. One is Satan, and you said that some of these people who have young followers in cults are satanic. In just a moment we'll talk about that, I think. 929-5555 is our number. If you'd like to talk to Mataji Nirmala Devi, by all means do so. 929-5555. 555 if you'd like to join us tonight on the forum.
How come you're picking on me? So
10:30 to 10. Ian Parry-Oakton, the forum tonight, and my guest is a practicer a teacher of Sahaja Yoga, Mataji Nirmala Devi, and she's in Australia to speak to her followers and to speak to people who are prepared to listen about a method of discovering self-realization. I think that's the best way to put it. Mataji, we've talked about God. Let's talk about Satan for a moment. You obviously believe there are evil forces.
Of course, there are evil forces, very many. And they come to us from the left and the right side. Within us left side is the collective subconscious areas, and the right side is called collective supraconscious areas. And these are the busy bodies.
Just say those again. Collective subconscious area is the left-hand side?
Left-hand side.
Of the
and
skull.
Collective supraconscious area on the right-hand side. Yes. Right. Now, these are the areas which are unknown areas, as the doctors say, from where they get some attack of proteins, which, like protein 58 and all that, which attacks and triggers the cancer. You see, this I've said about 10, 15 years back. But now the doctors have started seeing them and photographing them. Now, these are the areas where all the dead spirits, who were two types. One, the sly type, are on the left-hand side, and the ambitious type are on the right-hand side.
Dead spirits?
Yes, dead.
Inside the skull?
Inside us. See, we can approach them within ourselves. Now, these areas are within us, and we can get out of these areas also. Because if we spread our attention sideways, we can go to these areas also. And once we go to these areas, those people who are sensible, who die sensibly, or those who are realized souls, they go to another areas where they are to be born again, or they remain there. But those who are still dissatisfied, or cruel people, or satanic forces, they remain around. And these are the people actually maneuvered by people who try to mesmerize. And they have their ways. In Sanskrit language, it is called as Preta Vidya, means the knowledge of the dead. The knowledge of the Smashana means the burial places. They go and practice these things there and try to overpower these spirits. Those are evil ones, and use them for mesmerizing and using them for their own purposes. It's a science known to India for many years, how people do these things. It's an evil science. Even in England, I was surprised they had witchcraft, and they knew about witches and all that. And still, they are busy too much doing all these things.
Do these spirits have a power, do you believe, these evil spirits?
They have no power. They are just like human beings who are dead. But they're evil people, and they can enter into your psyche, and they can affect you. They give you epilepsy. So many of your emotional problems come from them. Most of the lunacy I've seen, all the lunatic people I've seen have this problem. Even the cancer people I've seen have the problem more from the...
How do you know they have this problem? Can you see it in them?
No, not by seeing, but you can feel them on their hands. For example, if you have a cancer patient facing you see, you find the left hand starts shaking very much, like a lunatic shakes and things. And the heat starts coming from the left-hand side, not so much from the right-hand side to begin with. That shows the affectation is from the subconscious area. The collective subconscious area. Also, epilepsy comes from the supraconscious area. When the people start projecting themselves, they say that we want to fly in the air, or they want to think too much ambitiously about things to create gold out of something, all these nonsensical ideas. Then they project to the right side. And when they project to the right side, in the beginning somebody who is on the right side can enter into the being and can possess, and such a person can be very ego-oriented and can be successful for a time being. But then riding two men or two human beings on one body, he becomes very tired. And even at the sight of a thing like a garlic, that person starts rattling. Even a church, you see, they start rattling.
A church?
Church even an incense. If they see, they start rattling. Any temple, they see rattling. They cannot bear the name of God. They start rattling. All their nerves are finished. They become reckless after some time. In the beginning, they become very sort of active, overactive, and become very successful sort of people. But then they collapse, and they collapse very badly.
Perhaps I should just ask you, in that line, the whole idea of spirits and of evil spirits, does this come from an idea of reincarnation, of a sort of wheel of life? What do you believe happens after death?
You see, after death, you would never die. Actually, only there are 5 elements you are made of, out of which the earth element really falls off. And the other 4 elements remain, and the water oozes out a little like that, and you become a small entity, which is the soul. The soul has got the kundalini on top of the head and the spirit on top of the head. And all the 4 elements are there intact. So you can think, you can do many things, you can materialize. For example, you can move any instrument that is here. Even without seeing the person, you can just move the thing from here to there. But people must understand this is not God's work. All these things are not God's work, like sitting down and talking to dead bodies and dead people is also very wrong, because there's no justice done to them. For example, if you say somebody loves the father or a mother, they want to talk to them. It's very wrong, because you must give them freedom. They belong to another area. And why do you want to entangle them with this present tense? Because they are in the past now. You have to be in the present, they have to be in the past. Leave them alone. Now, like I would say...
Do they come back and are reborn or not?
Yes, they come into you. I've seen now this is anorexia. Asthma can be cured. Most of the people who get asthma have a problem because their parents have died early.
This is asthma.
Asthma. Or maybe that they have a bad father, or they have been bad fathers or something, what we call the right heart center. And this can be cured. Today only I cured a gentleman who had asthma, big trouble because of this, because he was fighting for his father. His father died when he was 12 years of age. He was very much shocked. You have to just tell that, Father, you take your birth again thrice, it works out. Anorexia is another thing. It's the same thing.
Well, then the theory of reincarnation is that the spirit goes around and rises, comes back, is born again in another body, and rises and becomes more and more knowledgeable or pure. That's the theory of reincarnation, isn't it? Is that what you believe?
Yes, I not believe, but it's the truth. Because Christ didn't talk about it much. Why Christ did not talk? Because it's a very, very controversial stuff. If you tell somebody that there is reincarnation, even today I find the same thing. Like Indians, the first thing they will ask, what was my first birth? Because you go into your past. Christ wanted them to be in the present. So he didn't discuss it, but he said, I'll come again. How will he come if he cannot reincarnate?
Well, now you believe the evil spirits are people who have died and have not reincarnated?
Yes, and some of them can be satanic forces who have taken birth. They have been doing all this satanic work. But people don't want to believe that there's something evil. They think that everything. That's very good of them to say that. But once Christ criticized others, so they asked him, why are you criticizing? So they do not criticize you. He said the Satan is not going to speak against themselves. You see, it's only the holy person can see these two things. He is the only one who discriminates that these are satanic.
I don't understand. I don't quite understand what you're saying. Could you repeat that?
You see, if the satanic persons are there, they will always say there's no Satan. How will they say there is a Satan? Because then they will be found out. So they always say there is no Satan, everything is good, everything is fine. And that's how you enter into the lion's den, you see, to be really molested and to be tortured. But this is the only way one can say.
All right, we'll take another break and then start taking some calls. If you'd like to talk to my guest, Mataji Nirmala Devi, she's here to talk about Sahaja Yoga and self-realization. And if you'd like to talk to her, she's available on 929-5555. So my guest is Mataji Nirmala Devi, and she's now got her earphones on. Almost on, anyway. And we're going to start taking some calls on 929-5555. It's 8:30 to 10 o'clock. We're going through to midnight on the forum. 95 to Uri. Let's take the first call. Hello.
Hello.
Yes, good evening.
Hello, how are you?
I'm well, thank you.
Look, can I ask Mataji a question, or?
Yes, please. She's listening to you.
Right. Mataji, how do we get the baptism as described by Christ? I think you said you must be baptized in the Holy Spirit.
You see, we have a center within us, as I told you before, between the pineal and the pituitary body, and the optic chiasma, a second center is there, which is the center of Christ. Now, when you raise the Kundalini, you find that at this spot, the Kundalini stops. If you have a little problem with Christ, for example, if you have been following Christ in a wrong way, in an unauthorized way, without understanding it, or if you are not a forgiving person, also you might get this center blocked completely. This is the door which leads to the limbic area, which is the kingdom of God. Now when this center is blocked and you see the Kundalini just pulsating there, then you have to take the name of Christ. A Sahaj Yogi has to take the name of Christ and request Christ that please be awakened on the center. When he says only Christ's name, no other name, and that of Mary, then only this Kundalini rises through that center. Christ's other name in Sanskrit language is Mahavishnu. So you can also take his name as Mahavishnu, by which the Kundalini rises. You see it, and the person becomes thoughtlessly aware. That's how you get your realization through Christ only, as far as this center is concerned, because this is the last center where you enter into the realm of limbic area, which is actually the kingdom of God, but from there you have to get realization through another center, which is the last one.
Can I ask just here how this all comes about? Does one meditate? How does one start this all happening?
It's like, as I told you, that in the beginning, they stretch their hands, or you could say the palms towards me as you do in the namaz, right? And then
that's reaching the hands out.
Yes, reaching the hands, up. Yes, like that. And then from these fingers, ends, the energy flows inside and invites the Kundalini, tells that there's somebody who is the authority. Then the Kundalini starts rising. It's a very quick thing. Some people get it in split of seconds. If their Kundalini is alright, if they're simple people, not complicated, if they do not have any emotional problems and all that, they are very quick. They just get it in no time. But those who have problems have these pulsations. You can see them going here and there. If you have a liver problem, you see the Kundalini going to the liver and just sitting there and giving energy to sustain it. Like that, then it rises gradually, and you see the gradual progress of the Kundalini. And those who have got everywhere obstruction, you have to say a mantra or a chanting or an awakening thing, which awakens a particular deity.
So it is a sort of meditation.
You become in meditation. You cannot meditate, you become. It is the becoming. You cannot do meditation. There's no technique for it. It's a happening which is spontaneous. But afterwards, when you have got realization, when your Kundalini is awakened, to increase its expansion, to have better chakras and all that, you can repair it with a technique. But after realization, not before it. You have to make your path start to see whether there is mistake.
Right, so you're saying that at this point, once you've taken the Kundalini into you, or opened yourself up to the Kundalini, that you can then call upon God or Christ to enter you?
No, Christ is within you. He resides in this point, as I told you, in the Ajna Chakra, which is placed between the subtle center, between the pituitary and the pineal body. He's there, but he's not yet awakened. In the sense, he is awakened by himself, but he has not come in our consciousness. When the Kundalini reaches there, she suggests that there is Christ is not allowing the Kundalini to pass through. He's not allowing, he's not happy. So you have to request him that please allow the Kundalini to pass. But this request must go from a realized soul, from an authorized person. Or you can even sometimes maneuver it by giving some vibrations in that area through your hand or maybe through the photograph or something. And then the Kundalini rises. You have to take these things. That is what.
Well, now, how is this different from what Christians say, where they say you should open up and let Christ into you? Is that the same thing?
No, because that's just a lip service. This is a real thing. If it doesn't happen, doesn't happen. It happens, it happens. It's just a lip service. Nothing happens to your fontanelle bone area after baptism. Nothing happens to your eyes, which should be dilated when it is opened out. Nothing happens to you. It's just a lip service. You do like this. It's all artificial. Like I say that you eat this food, there is no food. You take it in your hand, there's no plate. You just imagine that there is plate, there is food, and you eat. Will you get the satisfaction?
Interesting. I don't know whether the caller feels the question has been answered.
Oh, it's a bit mind-blowing, but thanks for the answer.
Thanks for calling. I noticed the caller mentioned the baptism as described by Christ. What did he mean by that?
This is the same thing he said. Every word that he said is to be proved today through realization. Because after realization, you are connected to the means and a rapport is established.
What did he say there? He said, follow me and you will...
Yes, he said you have to be born again. Again and again he said you have to be born again. But when I went to America and I said you have to be born again, so everybody was sitting with tape recorders and all that, and they taped all my speeches, and people warned me they will publish books. These are writers. I said, let them publish. So they started also some cults saying born again. I said, how can you have a self-certification like that? If you are born again, you should be able to tell about the chakras of another person in your own chakras and about the Kundalini, isn't it?
What's a chakra?
Chakras are the subtle centers through which this Kundalini rises. These are subtle centers within us, placed in our backbone and also in the brain, which are the milestones of our evolution.
Right. Well, as the caller said, it's a bit mind-blowing, but we'll keep talking about it. We'll go through to midnight on 929-5555. Will you join me tonight? And let's talk about self-realization as Mataji Namala Devi sees it. She is indeed a remarkable person, and we've got an awful lot to talk about. Some of it is very difficult, I guess, to understand. It's a concept that I certainly have not heard about before. And all the talk about the energy within us, the life forces within us, and so many people have talked about the forces we are supposed to have within our spirit or our soul or our physical and spiritual bodies. Tonight we're talking to someone who has a definite concept of what that's all about, and if you'd like to talk to her, 929-5555 is the number. Come on in and join us on the program. 929-5555. And talking about Sahaja Yoga and its practice, and my guest tonight is Mataji Namala Devi. And perhaps just to recap, I can read from the brochure about Sahaja Yoga and its practice. Let me quote from it. After many years of careful and tremendously successful experimentation, we feel it is time to tell all genuine seekers that Sahaja Yoga, the discovery of Her Holiness Mataji Namala Devi, can definitely take one to the higher dimensions of consciousness that has been promised by all the scriptures. It opens within us the central channel leading to the inner space of peace and joy, of complete integration and harmony. It happens. Sleeping within each of us, there is a potential spiritual energy called Kundalini. This Shakti, and a very complex mechanism relating to it, is not revealed before the happening of self-realization. At this blessed moment, Kundalini raises within the spine and pierces the fontanel membrane at the top of the head. The subject feels then pervaded by total silence and exquisite well-being. He is absolutely aware, but without thoughts, and he feels in his hands a kind of wind of vibrations. The experience can be weak or, on the contrary, very powerful, depending upon the conditions of the inner mechanism of the subject at the time of the experience. The guidances of the great Satgurus of the past, who taught us the rules of Dharma, were meant to keep this delicate mechanism fit for Kundalini rising. Well, that's part of this thing called Sahaja Yoga, and that's what we've been talking about, and my guest is the discoverer, is Mataji Namala Devi, and she's here to talk to us tonight. Can I ask you about these words dharma and karma? What do they mean?
Dharma is the sustenance. Sustenance within us. As I told you before, that human beings have 10 sustenances, as described, 10 commandments in the Bible. This is the sustenance of human beings. If he has to be a human being, he has to have these sustenances within them. In the animals, the sustenance is there with no free will for the animals to change it. For example, a lion remains a lion, a mango remains a mango. It cannot change it. But human beings can become a lion or a scorpion, or can become even a snake, or can become a tiger. So human beings only have the free will to change their sustenance. But to be human being is very important, so that you become a superhuman being. Unless and until you have dharma within you, you cannot go beyond it. Because these sustenance then get enlightened. Then you become. Then you have no temptation. Nobody has to tell you, do not get into temptation. Nobody has to tell you that don't tell lies. Nobody has to tell you that don't steal. You just don't do it, because you become that. You become that life. This is what happens through Kundalini awakening. Another word is karma, is very interesting. Karma is the fruit of the action that we have been doing, whether good or bad. Now, this was all said very long time back, much before Christ, when people had all their sins and all their karmas, or good things or bad things, stored in them. And they had no way of getting out of it. They had to go through various circles of birth and rebirth again and again to overcome all those things. For example, a person, say, he is an ardent Muslim, so he will be born an ardent Hindu, next life. Like that, he goes on choosing, and ultimately he reaches certain conclusions. That you have to be in the center. You don't have to go to an extreme. You are not to be a fanatic, or you are not to deny God. But you reach a stage where it is beyond you. Then Christ came on this earth as the Son of God. And he died for our sins. Means he is the one who has created a door for us, by which our karmas can be absorbed. So now, when the Kundalini rises, when she crosses through this Ajna Chakra, the position I told you, where Christ resides within us, is a subtle center between the pituitary and the pineal body, on the optic chiasma, is the one, that one gets opened up, and that allows the Kundalini to suck your ego and superego both, so taking out all that is supposed to be the karma. And that's how, when the Kundalini awakens, she takes most of it. Your karmas just dissolve. If the force is great, the whole of it can be dissolved. But
so karma is like your sins?
No, it is a myth. Actually, it is a myth. Because for animals, there is nothing like karma. Because animals do not think they are doing anything. If a tiger has to attack a man, he has to attack because he must eat. He doesn't think it's a sin. But human beings, in their freedom, start feeling they are doing it. So they think they are doing this, they are doing nothing. They are just doing dead work. You see, this is all dead, from dead to the dead. Can you ask any one of them to transform a flower into fruit? Human beings do not do one living work. It's only dead work they do, like some birds take some straws and make a nest. They don't think we have done something, but human beings think, oh, we have built this building, we have done this. And also they have harnessed some of the material powers, you see, like electricity, you can say, and other things. And then they think we have done this and we have done that. It's a myth. And this myth drops out because living work is very different from what is a dead work. So this myth that I am doing just drops out.
Interesting. All right, let's take another call. 929-5555. Hello.
Hello, Ian.
Good evening.
Good evening.
conscious link between the human and the divine, and was this
recognized and perfected by the man Jesus?
And was this link perfected and recognized by the man Jesus?
By the man Jesus.
Man Jesus.
No, he could not. He did not allow it. He was crucified. I wish it could have been done that time, but it was not. It was very premature. The people never gave him any chance. I mean, they just crucified him for nothing at all. They never understood. They never recognized.
But is the Christ the link between man and the divine?
Of course, he is the door.
The door.
Yes, but he is not the destination. Destination is the spirit, which is also Christ in a way, which can be explained later on if they come to our center, how Christ is everywhere because he is the embodiment of divine love. He is the embodiment of that power which flows in your hand. He is the spirit.
Well, the man Jesus, if we had let him live, would have been able to open this door for all of us.
It should have happened, but they did not. One could have worked it out, but it's rather difficult.
He obviously did recognize this and perfect it, else he wouldn't have been able to resurrect himself.
Yes, he did.
The point the caller was making was that Christ did realize this and he was able to resurrect himself.
See, he was the divine power. Nobody can kill divine power. That's what Krishna had said, that it cannot be killed, and that's what he proved. What Krishna said, he proved it very well, that he cannot be killed. And that's how he was resurrected. And that resurrection is the message of Christianity, that you all should be resurrected. You should become your spirit and not this body.
Saying to us, don't set me up as an idol, but make me the ideal.
Don't make me an idol. He's saying that Christ said, don't make me an idol, make me the ideal.
Okay, that's true. You see, if you now get to a realization, you will understand him much better. You'll do full justice to him and you'll recognize him also and you'll recognize me. You never recognize, none of you could recognize any one of the incarnations who came on this earth and how we tortured them and troubled them. But now after realization, through your vibrations, you can recognize. Because if Christ comes, you will see the vibrations in your hand will increase tremendously.
Have there been any other, I might just put in a question here, have there been any other men, apart from Jesus, who have been as holy as Jesus was?
There have been so many incarnations of different aspects of God on this earth, much before Christ. The first one was that of Shri Rama, we can say, as a human being who came, and he lived like an ideal king, because he had to say what an ideal king and an ideal man has to be. And his wife was the Holy Spirit with him. Then came Krishna, who was another incarnation of Shri Rama, that aspect of a father. And then came Christ. Also Abraham, Moses, and Muhammad Sahib, Nanak, Janak, all these great people.
These are all holy men.
These are prophets, and these prophets are actually the embodiment of a principle called as primordial master, Adidu. And they incarnated on this earth, and the main of them are 10, and they reside in the visceral cavity we have in the stomach.
Are you a prophet? Are you an incarnation yourself?
That you better find out. I'm not going to say anything about myself, because whenever they try to say the truth even, they crucified. Christ only tried to say that. Krishna told to one disciple only. Rama never told even to his father. And if I now do not take advantage of experiences, then it won't be good.
Okay.
I must be something. But if you had the knowledge of Hindu scriptures, you would know what I must be. The way Kundalini rises in my presence, it has a definite significance, and it is described very clearly what sort of a person can do that.
Perhaps the caller has a further question.
The spelling of this particular form of yoga, is that S-I-D-D-H-A?
S-A-H-A-J-A.
Oh, I see.
Sahaja.
I thought it was Siddha.
No, it's Sahaja. S-A-H-A-J-A. Mataji.
Mataji, think of, or what can she say about a people called the Siddha? The Siddha people, S-I-D-D-H-A.
Are they in Australia?
No,
I think I've just got to be careful about talking about particular groups. I don't think we want to name particular groups.
No. There's no need to have any controversy. Only thing you should judge one thing. What have they achieved? Have they got their own powers? Those who are followers. This is the main thing. Have you got your own powers? Are you master of yourself? Do you know what you are doing? Do you know, can you feel others? Can you feel yourself? Can you say exactly what's wrong with you? Exactly can you say what's wrong with others? This is what it is. Are you fully aware? That's how you judge yourself. Not by names and things is not proper. Because have you achieved it?
I think that's the answer to the question.
I read a series of books called Life and Teachings of the Masters of the Far East, written by an American who was born in India and migrated.
What was it called? The Life and Teachings
of the Masters of the Far East.
of the Masters of the Far East. And who was it by?
A man named Spalding.
Spalding.
He wrote them over a number of years. The first one in 1924, the last in 1955. And he was talking about a journey in India, in the Himalayas. And he was quoting from ancient teachings. And these teachings were attributed to these people called Siddha. And this name, of course, pops up in a lot of Indian literature. The
Siddha.
Siddha. There's another word, Siddhai, which is the advanced TM technique, which is very
The transcendental meditation. I can hardly hear you.
Sorry. It's just that this word, Siddha, seems to pop up in a lot of the reading that I've done.
Well, perhaps Mataji wishes to comment. What is Siddha?
I'll tell you. Siddha means the one who has got realization, who is being proved, who has got realization. But not, you cannot have a self-certificate, I am a Siddha, by paying some money to someone, you see, or by doing something. It is a happening which is living happening. Again I say that there is no effort. You cannot put in any effort. What effort did you put to become a human being from a monkey? It just became spontaneously. In the same way it is effortless. It should just happen effortlessly, that is first thing. And you cannot pay for it. Now the books and books and books, they are to be written. This is another kind of exploitation. Is to write books about somebody. If an American goes to India, or anybody goes to India, did he have eyes to see? Did he have eyes to recognize? How can he say anything about somebody who is a Siddha or not? You cannot make out anybody who is a Siddha or not unless until you are a realized soul yourself. You must have eyes to see. In darkness if you walk and you are blind, what are you going to write? I mean, I have seen people writing huge books about Kundalini and they don't know where the Kundalini is. I mean, it's surprising. Such honest people have indulged into this. Because somebody writes, how much does it take to write? You pay little money and you just write any book you feel like. How many books did Christ read? There is no need to read any book. By reading, if you are going to get realization, then it's a very surprising thing.
But Siddha is someone who has total
that means that. But, this is self-certification, you see. Just say that you are a Siddha because you have paid so much money, fees or something like that. That's not it. Siddha is a person who is a self-realized person, who is being proved. Siddha means the one who is being proved to be a realized person. And that's a high state where you are collectively conscious. That you know how to raise the Kundalini, that you can give realization, and that you understand everything. The whole technique of it is the Siddha, not the one who pays money and becomes something. It's not that way.
Does that answer your question?
Oh, yes. I was aware that money should not be the object, and of course as soon as, no matter what direction you go in, when cost. When enlightenment costs, this is not enlightenment.
Yes, okay. Well, we've got some other people waiting on. I think we've perhaps answered your question there. Thanks for calling. It's 29 past 10.
Your attention, ostriches!
And a mother, I guess, the description, Mataji Namala Devi, who is here to give a program of public talks to her followers and anybody else who'd like to come along. The dates for the talks, for those who are interested, and we've had a lot of people calling to find out, will be this Wednesday and this Friday night at the Maccabean Hall, 146 Darlinghurst Road, Darlinghurst, at 7:30 p.m. That's this Wednesday and Friday at the Maccabean Hall, 146 Darlinghurst Road, Darlinghurst, at 7:30 p.m. if you'd like to hear Mataji talk. Mataji, you did say that this energy that we can get from you perhaps can be got almost through the radio, you felt, from your voice by reaching out the hands, palms facing upwards.
Yes, and listening to me. If you put your hands towards me, it's not facing towards me, as if you are asking for something, and if you listen to me, I think it can work out. Because in big groups like 6,000 and 7,000 people in India, we don't have such good systems of also broadcasting. And I've seen people getting realization only through my voice. And they don't even see me so clearly. Now, what you have to do is to just stretch your hands towards me, thinking that I'm there, and close your eyes. Now,
not if you're driving.
Not if you're driving. Then you have to stop your car for a while, because your eyes might get dilated. So it's better to stop your car and just stretch your hands. And if you could loosen your feet from your shoes, it would be a better idea even to take out your feet out of your shoes will be a good idea. And loosen a little bit of your tie if you have any, and sit in a relaxed manner. Now, for raising the Kundalini, I'll have to see the different centers normally that you catch, you see. And in general, I will be able to tell you what is to be done. Now, what I feel is the first center that you are catching now is the center where you are feeling guilty. Because when I talk to you, you must have picked up on some words which makes you feel guilty. And this again I have to tell you, that you should not feel guilty anymore. It's because Christ has done the job for you. So you should say, I am not guilty. It's a very big fashion in Australia especially to feel guilty all the time. I don't know what is the training is.
To be a sinner,
To be a sinner. No, you are not. Your sins have been taken away. Why? What's the use of then Christ coming on this earth? If you are an original sinner, all right. Now why did he come on this earth? So you should say, I am not guilty. Get over this feeling. I am not guilty. That's another thing the Christians are doing now, is to ask people to confess. Why to confess? I mean, Christ has done that for you. Whatever you have committed sins and all that will be forgiven. If the Kundalini rises, it's all forgiven. So you have to go on saying that I am not guilty. I can feel the center now, sitting down here. Most of you are having this very big center in you saying that you are guilty. First of all, you have to go on saying twice or 4 times that I am not guilty. It's very important. Then, the second center which you are catching is also very Australian style combination. What we call is the left navel center. It comes from your spleen. That means you are a speedy person. You are extremely speedy. And you talk telescopically. You walk telescopically. You have no time for breakfast, no time for lunch. And you make your spleen absolutely crazy. And this crazy spleen is a very dangerous thing. It leads you ultimately to something very, very serious, which I would not like to mention to frighten you. But the speediness must be brought down. Now, to bring the speediness down, what you have to say, that I have all the time for meditation, I have all the time for God. I have all the time for everything. I am not in a hurry at all. Just say like that. It will help you a lot. I am not in a hurry. Just at this time, especially, it's such a relaxed program. At least at this time, you can say, oh, I am not in a hurry. Just say that. This will bring down your speed. You're extremely speedy. And that shows on my fingers and on my toes. I can feel it that you are speedy. Then some of you have been to unauthorized gurus and to unauthorized people. In that case, you have to say, Mother, am I my own guru? Just ask the question twice. Just say, Mother, am I my own guru? If I say that, again you catch on the guilt. If I say anything, you don't catch on the guilt. Because once you say I am not guilty, you are not guilty for anything. So when I say to you, you just say this what I am saying. That, am I my own guru, Mother, after realization? Just ask the question. Now, another thing we have to do is to forgive others. Really we should forgive. Go on saying, I forgive everyone. Mother, I forgive everyone. Say it twice. It will help. It will relax you very much. Go on saying, I forgive you. Actually, Lord's Prayer is a mantra. It's a chanting on the same Agya Chakra I told you where Christ resides. On the optic chiasma. That's what you have to say, I forgive, I forgive, I forgive. Moreover, when you don't forgive, what are you doing? It's a bit. You are just torturing yourself for others. You are not torturing them whom you are not forgiving. It is they who are torturing you and you are playing into their hands. So you go and say, I forgive, I forgive, I forgive. I forgive all of them. This will relax you very much. You will have no thoughts in your mind. Close your eyes. Closing of the eyes is important because when the Kundalini rises, there is dilatation of the pupil. So better close your eyes. Now, you have to say that Mother forgive us, or you can say God, that please forgive us if we have done anything knowingly or unknowingly against God. This is to be said without feeling guilty again. Without feeling guilty, you should say that because once you said it is forgiven. It is forgiven. Then there should be no guilt. If it is forgiven, why should there be a guilt? This is a big disease, I think, in the West to feel guilty about everything. You have to get over this. It's a very bad disease and it gives you lots of problems, starting from spondylitis of the neck and then rest of them come after that. So not to feel guilty at all. You have to love yourself and you must know that you are men of God and women of God are to be made prophets. And once you are made prophets, you can make others prophets. This is what William Blake has said about the times of Sahaja. He has clearly said all these things. Not only he has said where we are going to have ashram in Lambeth Vale, we have our ashram in the ruins, the foundations will be laid. He has said also where I will first go to England is the Sahaja. All these things are so clearly said. It's all going to happen to you because you deserve it. Now, after saying, forgive me, twice, you have to ask for your realization. You say, Mother, give me my realization. Say it twice, thrice, and you start feeling the cool breeze in your hand. After some time, you'll find even the cool breeze coming out of your head. On top of your head, on the fontanelle bone area. You'll find the cool breeze coming out like a jet. And if there's air conditioning, you better close it because it will be quite cool now. You'll feel very relaxed, extremely relaxed. You'll be thoughtless. Now don't think about it. It has not happened to you by thinking. So don't think about it. It is beyond thinking. And do come and see me in Macedonian Hall, where you will have to grow more and understand more about it. It's like the sprouting of the seed, which takes place without much difficulty. But as Christ himself has said that some seeds fell on the rock and some fell in the waste, at the same time it happens with us also. So it is better to know how to make this germination manifest itself into a big tree. May God bless you all.
You listen to a forum 95 2 My guest tonight is Mataji. Nirmala Devi.
Right.
How do I describe what you
Just
are?
call me mother, that's all sufficient.
Yeah. Does that describe what you are?
Yes, that describes everything.
All right. Oh, we have with us some other. 929 5555. Hello. Yes, good evening. Thanks for waiting on.
Hello, Mother?
Yes?
Oh, I wanted to know, is the cool breeze that you've spoken about, that you feel on the hands, the cool wind of the Holy Spirit, as spoken of in the Bible?
Yes.
Is this cool breeze the Holy Spirit?
Yes, same thing. You have done the good job now, I must say.
Is it the Holy Spirit?
Yes, of course, it's the Holy Spirit.
Uh-huh. I'm feeling it now on my hands through the phone.
That's
Good.
Did you want to say any more than that?
No, that's all I wanted to know
Because you're thoughtless now. Enjoy yourself.
Thank you.
Thanks for calling. 929 5555. Hello.
Hello.
Yes, good evening.
Good evening, Mother Mataji. Mother, when you began your program, I think I heard you say that cancer invading the body could be an evil spirit. Is that what you understood?
Yes, it comes through, you see, invasion of some of these things within you, even in virus infection, is coming from some vegetables who were out of circulation of evolution, are affecting virus. And also these other proteins they talk of are nothing but some sort of infection from the collective subconscious area from the left-hand side. That's what I've seen so far in all the cancer patients, that either they have been to black magic, or their parents have been to someone, or they've been to some sort of a clairvoyance, or some sort of a thing like that, or one of these gurus, or some sort of like that, which is an unauthorized thing to do. Even psychologists can do that.
So you're saying you believe that cancer is an evil spirit?
No, I didn't say that. Cancer is triggered by an entry of some sort of an unauthorized handling of the left sympathetic nervous system, to put it very precisely and scientifically.
Yes, I partly understand you, Mother Mataji, but not quite. My father had cancer, and I developed it 6 years ago in exactly the same part of my body as my father had it.
Yes, maybe your father is to be told that I'm all right, don't worry about me.
Yes.
You get your birth and get your realization.
Yes.
And he can leave you, and you can be perfectly all right if he leaves you, because he's worried about you.
Yes. Oh, and another thing, my daughter had a very serious car accident, and she has epilepsy through the injury to her brain. I cannot accept her. It was almost 15 years ago. I haven't been able to accept this crippling of her body, and I wonder if your Sahaja yoga would help me.
It will definitely help him, but is he a seeker?
No, she said her daughter had a car accident and developed epilepsy.
Yes, but I have not accepted to see that beautiful body of my daughter now so crippled, and I try so very hard to accept it, but I can't, Mother.
You can cure her through Sahaja Yoga. You must come and see me at the Maccabean Hall, and I'll tell you how to do it. It's not difficult. But if the bones are being removed, and if doctors have put some sort of a dead material, then I won't be able to work it out.
Well, the doctors have told me that there are so many cells of her brain that are absolutely dead and will never, ever be regenerated.
Let us see, we might try.
I think that perhaps I should come in here and say that we're not in the business of healing over the radio, and we can get, I think, in a lot of trouble if we pretend we are, so that's not what I'm suggesting. Mother Mataji is simply saying that she believes that this may work out, so the best thing is perhaps to go and see her.
Yeah. really where I intended.
Thanks for your call. Bye-bye. It's just an area we have to be fairly careful with, I think, on talking about too generally. It's 13 to 11. At 11 we have the news, 929 5555. Will you join us tonight as we talk about self-realization?
Different routes and different styles of things, and people were very happy with it, and he has made remarkable things. He made a lot of money out of it, and people are still calling him for that work because he just suddenly developed that awareness by which he produced things which were aesthetic and were appealing to people. Another thing is, those evil forces also bring you down. Like we had a gentleman in Pune who was very bad at his business. Nobody would come to his shop, and he was not selling anything. So he said, "Mother, will you come to my shop one day?" I said, "It's rather difficult for me, but one day if I can, I'll just drop in." I went there. After that, he started getting lots of people in his shop, and now he's become a rich man. He couldn't understand how it has happened. Only my going there has brought so much. Because there was some bad, evil spirit that was trying to ruin. You see, it used to give ideas in the subconscious to people that don't come here, it's not good. You see, this evil force has come because this evil force was an enemy of this man who died, and he's still busy trying to sort of trouble this man. Once I went there, it just disappeared. It was frightened of me, and the thing started working out. So all these things also come to us from outside influences, which can be removed, and you can become a very person congenial, appealing, because everybody has the spirit. And when they see the spirit in you enlightened, they like you, and they would like to do anything for you.
All right, let's take another call on 929 5555. Hello.
Oh, hello.
Good evening, thanks for waiting.
Yes, I'd like to ask Mataji a question. Today there are many paths of spirituality. Would Mataji say any of these paths are valid, or is Sahaja Yoga the only true path?
Is Sahaja Yoga the only true path?
I wouldn't say so bluntly because you'll be shocked, but I'll tell you the other way around, that if you have to germinate the seed, what do? You have to sprout the germination, isn't it? You have to germinate the prenule of a seed, isn't it? That's the only way you do it, isn't it? There's no other way out. So in the same way, if you have to get your realization, it's only the Kundalini awakening. And it is done through Sahaja Yoga only, but today it has taken a shape of Mahayoga, means a great happening by which there is en masse realization. There are people who are getting realization in a mass. It's not only one individual or two individuals, but masses after masses have to get realization. Now if you say, which is the way a flower has to become a fruit, there's only one way. There are not two ways. Living things do not have two ways and five alternatives. These are all for human beings to take lots of decisions and do all these things. But for any living things, it's only one way it works out. And that's how it is, the germination within you, which is a living force of the living God, is the only way, is the Kundalini awakening. And that's why we can say Sahaja is the only way. It is. There's no other way out.
Well, Mataji, for those people who are seeking and who don't find the path of Sahaja Yoga, what will happen to them?
You see, they should come. Why not? They will all come. I can see your concern, same concern I have. But they go after circuses. They go after people who are false. Those who take money from them. Those who befool them. They do not want to come to reality. What can you do about it? The choice is your own.
Good. Thank you very much.
Thanks for calling. What happens if they don't come?
They just don't come. Because they don't like reality. See, they crucified Christ. Why? They didn't like him. Why?
They were frightened?
They were frightened. They are just frightened for nothing at all. Perhaps they are possessed, some of them. They are ego-oriented.
All right. It's 3 minutes to 11. Hello.
Hi, Ian.
Yeah, hi.
Mother. I'm really fascinated tonight, actually. I went along and heard another speaking at my uni the other day,
Right, she spoke at the University of New South Wales.
Oh, and Macquarie. And it raised a number of interesting questions.
I can't hear.
And I'd like to ask a few questions that sort of came out of that. You mentioned that diseases are an expression of spiritual and emotional disarray.
You mentioned that diseases are an expression of emotional and
Physical imbalances.
physical imbalances.
So in passing, that asthma could be caused by one of a person's parents dying young. I've always believed that diseases are caused by an expression of spiritual disarray because someone is not obeying their karma. I wonder if you'd like to elaborate a bit on that. Is it the bad karma that's not being obeyed, or could asthma result, for instance, or any disease, because, for instance, a child's parent had died young, or you also mentioned anorexia. I don't know what you're going to say about that.
Well, Mataji's having a difficulty understanding you. If you could just speak a little more slowly.
Well, yeah, I get a terrible spleen. You mentioned in speaking that diseases are caused by an spiritual and emotional disarray within a person. I'm interested to know, or to reconcile, how some diseases could be caused. You mentioned asthma, for instance.
Asthma.
Could be caused in a person whose
You see, first you mentioned about karma. First thing I must tell you, what we understand in karma is something very, very narrow also. You see, supposing you are in imbalance, all right? Now, if your father or anybody's father, for example, you are too attached to your father, and if such a thing happens that your father leaves you or something happens like that, your principle of father in you is shaken. I mean, this is not your karma, but this is your father's karma, that it shakes you. Or maybe his death is not your karma nor his karma. But something like that happens while you have been so attached that that portion is shaken up. Because human beings are very delicate things. As they are very aware, they have to be extremely delicate and very beautifully made. As you see, any machinery which is very sensitive is extremely delicate. In the same way, human beings are extremely sensitive and delicate, and we don't know how to handle ourselves. That's why the problems come in. But the karma business is very gross stuff.
Mataji, I'll just stop you there and we'll come back to this after the news. We must pause for the network news. Will you hang on? A technique, perhaps, by which we can free ourselves from the physical and emotional and mental disorders that are caused by the stresses of modern life, as they say. That's one way to put it. Just before the news, we were talking to a caller and we were talking about karma, which, to put it in modern terms, would be all the pluses and minuses of your past life, of your life up till now. And this is within you, and the caller is asking whether this is responsible for illness. And Mataji is answering, I think, if I've got it right, that we don't need to feel guilty and we don't need to get any poison out of ourselves, that we don't need to try to clear ourselves of past deeds or past sins, but that we need to progress now to a higher state of consciousness, of self-realization. And I might ask the caller, are you there?
Yes.
Yeah. Mataji was talking about karma.
Right. Yeah, she seemed to answer the question. Okay, can I ask another one?
Sure.
Regards Kundalini, I have a friend who meditated for about 6 or 8 hours, having gone through a pretty awful emotional experience, and he did not experience a cool breeze, but rather a burning fire.
That's very true. If you do not know how to do it, you get all these problems, like villagers coming to the city, putting their hands into the plug and saying that the electricity only burns you. It is to be done by a person who knows the job, who is authorized, and such a person has to be a holy person. It cannot be done everyone. So somebody who knows the job, in the sense, not scientifically, but through the authority of God, should be able to do it. So it is always the fire and all this business come, because not the Kundalini that punishes you. Kundalini is your own individual mother. She does not punish. But there is a deity sitting at the base of the Kundalini. It gets very annoyed and it starts lashing you on the sympathetic nervous system. But it's not that only you feel fire. Sometimes people even get blisters and things. It's a wrong way of doing a thing.
Just from meditation?
Yes, you see, if you try to do, there are certain nonsensical things they do which I do not want to talk here. But all these nonsensical things can lead to problems.
Another question. I guess it regards karma and dharma once again. But God said that we were all created equal, and we are. But then we're not born equal, and we're not born equal because of our past and our reincarnations. I was wondering if in the end, whether we will all have been reincarnated the same number of times, every person on Earth.
Is there an end? Are we heading to an end where we will all be reincarnated the same number of times?
Yes, you are reincarnated again and again, improved on too, like an instrument is always improved on one after another, isn't it? But now the time has come for you to manifest the purpose for which you have been made. So you become that, like a light is in the process of being made till it becomes a light. Then it is put to the mains. Then what is the job of the light? It's just to give the light. It has become that now. Right.
Is there an end for all of us at one point? Are we all heading to one end?
You see, first you get germinated, then you grow into a tree, then you want to come back again to help others. It's out of compassion.
But there's no end, it keeps going?
And if you want to end it, you can end it, but you like it. You want to come back again and again to help people.
But for all of us, there is no end?
I mean, it is later on, when you are realized soul, it is your own free will if you want to continue or don't want to continue. You are not forced to come down.
Mother Mataji, if you accomplish all your karma in one life and you do good, why would you keep coming back continually?
See, the karma theory is now over, as I told you.
Yeah.
There's nothing like karmas left anymore.
Right.
It is Christ has opened that center for us in which the chakras, you see, are all get completely enlightened, and when the Kundalini rises, she sucks in the ego within you, which makes you feel that you have done this karma and that karma.
So you're saying that Christ really has taken all the sins?
Yes, he has definitely. I mean, he doesn't tell lies. So he has done it. Now, the main thing is that when you die after realization, if you want, you can come back, because out of compassion. You come on this earth out of compassion to help people, because they are part and parcel of the whole. It's a different thing. Now you do not come to take anything, but to give.
But I feel that there's this inner thing within us, or within some of us anyway, within our souls, that wants a union with God. And if we achieve our karma, I keep thinking we must want to have union with God and not keep coming back to earth. I mean, even though we come back to do good and for compassionate reasons.
No, I would say that, you see, this is not what you feel or believe. It is what it is, should be. Now you are thinking too much about the future. You have to think of the present, of this moment, of getting your realization to be in the present. You shouldn't think of the future so much, of these karma is the past and the future coming and going. You are not in the present. You are thinking either of the past or of the future, because you have read a lot, I think, about these things, and you just believe in it. Your belief and your feelings are not the truth. You must face them as it is.
The call is talking about heaven, I think.
Yes.
Yes, I am.
Thinking of heaven and all that. But see for yourself, keep your eyes open. I didn't have any conception of this place where I'm sitting, the studio. When I came here, I saw it, how it is to be worked out, and then I decided. If I decided beforehand, it would have been all wrong.
Very true, thank you.
Thanks for calling.
Bless you.
It's 11:12, and my guest tonight, Mataji, Mother Mataji, who's here to talk about Sahaja Yoga and its practice and self-realization. And she'll be giving lectures, talks on Wednesday night and Friday night at 7:30 at the Maccabean Hall, 146 Darlinghurst Road, Darlinghurst, if you'd like to go along and hear. Is there any charge or fee?
No charge.
It's all free. Okay,
Yeah.
There's no money involved. This is just something she wants to give to you, and I'm finding it fascinating. 929-5555. Hello.
Hello, Ian.
Hi, good evening.
Could I please ask Mataji? She did speak on cancer. I could understand that people could
children get cancer.
That's right, especially if they have healthy parents.
There are many other things which gives cancer to children. One of them is very common, is blood cancer. Now, blood cancer we give to children ourselves by our speedy nature, over conditioning, all the time telling them, well, they're eating food, you have to go to school, now get ready, now you have to do it, you should be in time, all the time putting watches on their heads. This is how we give them blood cancer.
We create stress.
Stress on them for nothing at all. You see, that the schools themselves are horrid. Sometimes the schools give them education which is not needed. They condition them. Then the sex knowledge is not needed to be given to children. It's just opening them to something that they need not know at all. They're innocent. We disturb their innocence by so many things. Then all your nonsensical pornographies and this and that and talk of sex to innocent children, we really play with that. We should blame our society for that. If not an individual parent, but everybody has to face it. Now, the sex education is not needed for children at all. There's no need. When they grow up, the mothers should tell the daughter and the father should tell the son in a very private and a sacred way, not to just tell them so openly that they become curious, they start experimenting with it. All that kind is possible. Then also, there was a gentleman whose son got cancer at a very young age. They were surprised how he got cancer because the man was very good and the child was very small. And then we found out the grandmother had a habit of taking the child to the what you call the burial grounds and things like that. And she always had a great fascination for these places. Even churches have got these dead bodies. Now what to say? We expose our children without understanding where we are taking them. We put them to stress. So that is the result.
Very well, thank you very much.
Thanks for your call. 929-5555. It's 11:15 on the forum.
I love a department store.
To you, if you'd like to join us, my number is 929-5555. My guest is Mataji Nirmala Devi, Mother Mataji, and she's here to give a series of public talks and lectures and talk about Sahaja Yoga and its practice. 929-5555. Hello.
Hello.
Yes, good evening.
Good evening. I'd like to ask Mataji a question. Mataji, I've heard you speak of negative forces. One, what are these forces? And two, are they causing the increasing problems facing society today?
Facing what?
Society today.
Very much. Now,
first of all, what are these negative forces you talk about?
What are these negative forces?
These are the forces that are built during evolutionary processes when people became ambitious or became very sly, and they took to ways and methods which are anti-God.
Yes.
They are punished many a times, but they are born now with a vengeance because they want that the last step now by which human beings are going to get their realization and they are going to solve their problem, and the step where they will have a breakthrough in their evolution, they want to stop it. That's why they are trying to destroy you in so many ways.
You're saying we're getting very close as a race of human beings to a point where we will all get self-realization.
Yes,
that time is coming now.
Yes, very much. That last judgment has started.
How long will that last?
Depends on how long you take. You see, maximum time will be given for people to be resurrected.
But hundreds of years or tens
Not
of
hundreds, should not be hundreds, but there should be sufficient time for many people to get realization. And then few are left there because already the hell is full of people there. And there isn't much room for others to go in.
And those evil forces are massing to...
Yes, they are. They are very much in hands, and they are all joined together, and they are working it out, destroying our spirit, destroying our attention from spirit. They are taking us away from reality. They are doing all kinds of subtle things. It's all spirit, so many of them. But your spirit, the spirit that is God within you, is the most powerful thing. And once it is enlightened in your awareness, they all run away. They are frightened.
How important is it for one to gain realization?
That's vital for every one of us. If we are human beings, we should know why we are human beings. it would be something, a question that if you are a lamp, how vital it is for lamp to be the light.
Yeah, that's right. All right, thanks very much.
Thanks for your call. 929-5555.
I'll stroll into the show.
21 past 11, Ian Parry Oakton, 929-5555. On the forum, we're talking about self-realization and Sahaja Yoga. My guest is Mother Mataji, who's visiting here from England. In fact, you live in London. Your husband is a diplomat, is he not?
He's elected as the Secretary General of the International Maritime Organization, which is one of the UN agencies. There are 14 or 15 Secretary Generals. He's one of them, elected by, I think, 120 nations. That's how I'm in England. But this is temporary. He is re-elected again. He has been elected thrice. So we have been there for 7 years now. 5 years more we have to be there.
Right. You will keep traveling the world and keep spreading the word?
Up to some time. Then I would like to retire. If somebody wants to take over from me, will be a good idea.
Are there people to take over?
Yes, they are very capable people. They can do it. I can stay in one place and they can do it.
Do you have any thoughts on the future, on what's going to happen to the world and to all of us?
Very optimistic.
You are?
We are all going to be saved and we are going to have all the blessings of God and all His power is going to flow through us and we are going to enjoy ourselves in full bliss.
Sounds wonderful. Let's take the next call. If you'd like to join us, the lines are open on 929-5555. Hello.
Hello. I would like to ask the Mother, is she not in fact preaching a combination of Hinduism, Muslim and Christianity? Yeah.
Are you preaching a combination of religions?
Complete integration. Yes, you have seen that through. I'm happy to know that. It's complete integration. The relationship between different incarnations and different prophets is to be established and is to be proved. It can be proved also through Kundalini awakening. You can prove it, how they are related to each other.
Yes, well, I believe all religions, even though I'm agnostic, I believe all religions.
That's very great. But the belief becomes the truth, and you can prove it to others also.
Yeah, well, I think that, all religions basically are worshipping the same God. They just call this God by different names. But I find it confusing. You're talking about karma, dharma. There's been no mention of nirvana.
Are they?
Nirvana.
No mention about nirvana, because you are not interested in nirvana so much as they were interested in karma and dharma. Nirvana is the one where you get your freedom by becoming your spirit. That's what I'm saying.
Yes, but then if you follow the Christian teaching, one would believe we should all have this, because that's why Christ died, to give it to us.
Yes, you should not have all these problems at all. I mean, this is not, that's what I'm saying.
But the Course said you should have nirvana. If you follow Christ, you should have nirvana.
If you follow in the true sense that you become a Sahaja-yogi, then only you get it, isn't it? Not by going to some organized places where they have organized Christ also.
Yes, I agree. You don't have to go to an organized...
You have to find Christ in yourself.
Yes, in yourself, through realization. Not the way by just becoming members of something.
Who would you equate from Indian religions, the goddess Kali?
Goddess Kali. I think you better come to my program and I'll tell you all about them. Goddess Kali.
Who in the Christian teachings would you relate her to?
Goddess Kali. You see, the mother of Christ was Mahalakshmi.
Yes.
Did you hear about that one? She was Mahalakshmi, and Goddess Kali did not incarnate at the time of Christ.
But who is the equivalent in the Christian religion of the goddess Kali? Is there an equivalent in the Christian religion?
Is the power of Saint Michael.
Saint Michael.
What, why does Christianity say that all children are conceived in sin? I find this very hard to accept.
So do I. Why does the Christian religion say all children are conceived in sin? All children are born sinners. Why does the Christian religion say that?
I mean, you better go and ask the Christians. I don't know why they say all these things.
Question, I've asked them and they can't.
No, they can't. You see, because there are so many ideas they have got in their heads. You see, they have, I don't know how they have grown horns out of Christianity. What am I to do?
Something that's written in the Bible, and this, yeah, and they...
No, it is not said that you are born in sin. You see, you said that in the basic sin is there, that a man has started thinking for himself. Is the basic thing. Is that he is free to think for himself. By that, ego and superego develops in a human being, and he develops his own independence as I-ness. And he is separated from God's desire, in the sense he has his own desire exerting itself. This is the basic sin of separation.
Yeah, but then, how can you justify self-realization?
Then after self-realization, you become one with that power. Like all the animals are one with God's power, they have no free will. We, through our free will, reach certain conclusions of good and bad. And after realization, we are aware. The animals are not aware, but we are aware what is God's will is.
I think the caller is saying, how do we reach self-realization?
Through Kundalini awakening. It's a spontaneous thing. It would be a question like this: how do we transform a flower into a fruit? It's spontaneous, living.
Yes, but inasmuch as, on the one hand, you're saying we all should, accept the spirit within. How can you be expected to reach self-realization without thinking for yourself?
Without
thinking for yourself?
No, because this is beyond thinking. It is spontaneous. By thinking you do not sprout a seed, do you? It is a spontaneous thing. We must understand living processes first of all.
Yeah, but then
by thinking you do not live. See, living process is different from thinking you is dead.
Automatic.
Is it automatic?
Like the heartbeat?
Yes, but we can say spontaneous, sahaja. It's better because it has life in it.
Yes, but thought also has life. Without life you can't think.
Thought also has life. Without life you can't think.
No, that's wrong.
Any thought?
No. You see, inspiration is different, but thought is different, and it has no life. It is beyond thought that you achieve this power.
So
actually,
it's not meditation that we're talking about?
No. You cannot do it. You have to become. It's a state of mind where you are beyond your mind. It just starts flowing through you, and it relates to you beyond your thought.
Perhaps we should explain for people who've joined the program.
Yes, please.
Self-realization.
Through Kundalini awakening. It's a spontaneous thing. It would be a question like this: how do we transform a flower into a fruit? It's spontaneous, living.
Yes, but inasmuch as, on the one hand you're saying we all should, accept the spirit within. How can you be expected to reach self-realization without thinking for yourself?
Without
thinking for yourself?
No, because this is beyond thinking. It is spontaneous. By thinking you do not sprout a seed, do you? It is a spontaneous thing. We must understand living processes first of all.
Yeah, but then
by thinking you do not live. See, living process is different from thinking is dead.
Automatic.
Is it automatic?
Like the heartbeat?
Yes, but we can say spontaneous, sahaja. It's better because it has life in it.
Yes, but thought also has life. Without life you can't think.
Thought also has life. Without life you can't
No,
think.
that's wrong.
Any thought?
No. You see, inspiration is different, but thought is different, and it has no life. It is beyond thought that you achieve this power.
So
actually,
it's not meditation that we're talking about?
No. You cannot do it. You have to become. It's a state of mind where you are beyond your mind. It just starts flowing through you, and it relates to you beyond your thought.
Perhaps we should explain for people who've joined the program.
Yes, it's better. It's not easy to continue with this on the radio.
Right.
But I will. Definitely. It can be explained.
Right.
easily and can be proved also.
Okay, thanks for your call. Perhaps if you could go over the process by which you say we awaken the Kundalini, the energy within us. This is a matter of stretching out one's hands to someone who is authorized, like yourself, you say, someone who is holy.
Yes, yes. Even if I blow on this thing, it will work out. Even blowing will help. My talking will help. Yes, it will help many people. If they are sensitive enough, it will help.
Well, why don't you do that?
All right. Now you stretch your hands, please, towards me, like you do it in namaz, asking for your self-realization. Close your eyes. Don't attach your attention anywhere on any center. Just keep it loose, absolutely free. And I'll now blow in the mind. It will have an effect on you. And you will start feeling the cool breeze in the hand in a big way. Now try not to think. It's better, because this is beyond thinking. Thinking will stop it. So please try not to think. And you need not even try. It will just become that you will become thoughtless. Now feel your fingers. You'll find a very slight movement of energy on your fingers. Maybe there may be tingling, maybe some little burning. Pins and needles could be because you are opening out. And those who have got realization will feel a cool wind blowing. These are the different stages that can take place. Ultimately, you all should get cool breeze in the hand and also the cool breeze jetting out of your fontanelle bone area on your head. You can put your right hand towards me and the left hand on top of your head. You'll feel that there's a cool jet blowing upward. Those who smoke may not feel so much because the Vishuddhi chakra, meaning the center that looks after the cervical plexus, is little bit numbed. The nerve, the cervical nerve, which has to carry the message of the cool breeze, is numbed and they cannot feel it. But they definitely feel first the smoke coming out of their heads and then the cool breeze coming out of their heads. You can even smell the smoke.
So, it's 28 to 12. My guest tonight is Mataji Nirmala Devi, and she's here to give a series of talks on self-realization and Sahaja Yoga. 929-5555 if you'd like to join us tonight on the forum. That is Mataji Devi. Mataji Nirmala. I'm getting the names mixed up because it's Mataji Nirmala Devi, Mother Mataji. She's my guest tonight, and we're talking about self-realization. Hello.
Hello.
Yes, good evening.
Good evening. Talk about self-realization. I think possibly my opinion would be that before we sort anybody else's problems out, the greatest thing we've got to sort out would be our own mind.
Our own mind?
Yes. Because I think that we are the ones that we live with, if you can understand what I'm saying, 24 hours a day, when we're sleeping or whatever, dreams or working or whatever, and we are the ones that we have to more or less fight or put up with or enjoy or not enjoy, apart from our partners, wives, husbands.
We have to sort out our own mental processes.
I think that this is the greatest problem, and people will not accept the fact that our greatest sin in the world would be accepting defeat.
I'll get Mataji's comment on that.
Now the word mind is very confusing. We have to understand our mind is can be divided broadly into two halves. One, the mind, which is conditioned, which we call as superego or mana in Sanskrit language. And the another mind is the ego, which is called as ahankara, means the one by which we accumulate a kind of a idea that I do this and I do that and I like it. All those things come from that I, which is Mr. Ego. And the another is the superego, by which we are conditioned and we accept the conditioning and we become a person full of these ideas like I don't like that and I'm afraid and I'm frightened and all sorts of things. So these are the two things that are really in our mind. Now, just a minute, please. I'll explain to you the whole thing. Now, the superego is the past that we have. So we get our thoughts from the past. Or the ego is the thoughts about the future. So we have two types of thoughts, one from your past and one from your future. Because in the center where it is present, there are no thoughts. It's a thoughtless area. It's a very small area. For example, a thought wave starts within you. It rises and you see the rising of the thought but not the falling of it. It falls. And then another thought starts. It rises and falls again. Like that the thoughts start rising and falling and we jump on the cusp of these thoughts, sometimes in the future or sometimes in the past.
Yeah.
We have no control over it. Alright? Now, what happens with realization? That when your Kundalini rises, she goes in the center and she sucks in the ego and the superego and you become one with the present where you see the reality as it is. I'll give you a simple example that whatever we try to solve by our mind can be very difficult because we never face the reality. What we think about is the future, which doesn't exist, and the past, which is finished.
But doesn't this go back to accepting things?
Pardon?
Doesn't this go back to accepting things?
No, you need not accept it is happening. Unless and until this happens to you, you need not even accept me. But you should not also deny. What I'm saying, you could keep an open mind about it, and it works out. So, when it works out, then you live in the present. You try to solve anything through your mind, you'll find it will have a relative value, always. It may be successful, it may not be successful. It may be correct, it may be incorrect. It's all relative. That's why there is confusion. We have to find the absolute point. When Kundalini rises, she takes you into the realm when you are in the present and you see all the dimensions. For example, what is present and future and past is nothing but the two shadows of the present. For example, somehow, by any chance, if you can hang over the curve of the earth, then you can see the future and the past at one point all the time. And wherever you are, it's the present all the time. If something like that happens to you, it's a new dimension of awareness, where the mind takes a new dimension where you become the present. The problems get sorted out so easily when you are in the present. It is to be seen and felt and to be experienced. Then your mental activity becomes very little because it is such a waste of energy, just thinking, reaching nowhere.
Well, can I just get a few words in here? I think you've missed my entire point. If I'm brought up in India, I will speak Indian. If I'm brought up in Greece, I will speak Greece. If I'm brought up to preach to a God who's made out of wood, I will preach to a God who's made out of wood. And what the hell chance have I got, judging by any laws or anybody that, I mean, it's irrelevant to what anybody says. In actual fact, if you want to admit the whole thing, nobody knows anything. And you can think that I'm...
Alright, this is again Mr. Ego speaking.
I beg your pardon?
It is the ego that is saying that nobody knows. Because ego covers up everything. It covers up all the knowledge. So you have to go beyond this realm to see. For example, you can say that there is nothing under your skin. But a doctor will say, no, there are cells and you can see them. But you have to have a microscope. Now, you must have the microscope to see. But if you deny, I don't want to see the microscope, you will never see.
I agree with all.
All right. So you must get your realization, you must have your spirit, and then you can see if you cannot see or not. But just now to deny it is just to refuse to go. It will be adamant.
Look, I agree with everything you've said. All I'm saying is that I think the biggest hassle that everyone has, apart from being a millionaire or a pauper or a Mongol or a cripple, is the fact that they have to live with themselves every day of their life. And irrelevant to what you might say or I might or a God...
Now I follow.
Let me finish. Irrelevant to what any one of us might say, we have to live with ourselves. And until such time as we can sort that part out of it, we will not believe in anything that anybody says, because we have to be happy within ourselves. And whether you call it God, or whether you call it the devil, or whether you call it Buddhism, or Hinduism, or whatever you want to call it, you will never ever achieve that.
That's right.
Really, now I understand what you want to say. All right, I'll explain. This is very simple. You see, when you are living with your mind, naturally you have to depend on it, isn't it?
Can you hear?
Can you hear?
Yes, I can.
Yes. When you live with your mind, you have to depend on it. But with Kundalini awakening, you go beyond your mind. And these powers start flowing through you. Then you have to judge it by asking questions. For example, you get this cool breeze blowing in your hand. You cannot explain through your mind. All right. Then you just try to ask questions. Supposing you are a computer and you are put to the mains. Now, is this the computer answering the question? Then you just ask the question, one simple question, is there God? A simple question just now. You ask a question in your heart, is there God? And you will see that these cool breeze forces will increase tremendously. So what happens that through this you understand the powers of the beyond, the working of the beyond, and the beyond of the mind things. Then you start using a new awareness, not only of your limited mind, but that of the unlimited vibratory awareness that is within you. You become a different personality.
Okay. I think we've answered that question. Thanks for your call. It's 17 to 12. You're listening to The Forum. My guest is Mataji, Mother Mataji, Mataji Namala Devi, and she's here tonight to talk about self-realization. Hello.
Hello?
Yes, good evening.
Hello, yeah. Most interested in the sort of recurring theme that to me has been choice.
So you're talking about reincarnation?
Well, yeah, in that way, but it seems central to this, the realization or experience or state that one then has a choice. And I was just wondering how we become more aware of these choices and what choices Mama Natasha has in fact made.
What choices have you made? Did you choose to return to Earth, or...
You see, about me, the less said the better. But of course I did choose to come here and to give realization. You see, about me, the less said the better. But of course I did choose to come here and to give realization, no doubt. I'm here for that. But one has to understand, this is so important, that an egg has to become a bird. Isn't it? In the same way you are an egg and you have to be born again when you have to become a bird. It's a different awareness. That's what has to happen. A mother bird has to lay the eggs and then create chicks out of that, isn't it?
Why did you make your choice?
Why did you make your choice?
That's my job. What can I do?
It had to be made.
Yes, it had to be. It is my desire, or you can say that's my nature.
So, yeah, it was nonetheless a personal choice. It was...
Pardon?
It was a personal choice?
Of course.
I was just... Personally, the difficulty in my life would be just knowing when the choice actually exists between one, two, or however many forms of action.
You see, the choices are changed. Your priorities are changed because your awareness is different. You see, when when your awareness is different, you start behaving in a different way. Your whole